I am even more thrilled now to introduce our next session. And I just can't wait for you to get to know the hearts and the presence of our next presenters. You know, Rich and Yvonne Dutra-St. are, I truly consider, not just colleagues and love warriors, but part of my family. I've known them for over 30 years now. And every single time I get the honor of being in their presence, I am moved in ways that that it's hard to even wrap words around. And just to give you a snapshot into who they are, they have quite an impressive resume, but they're so humble that you might not ever know this. They are co-founders of the Innovative Challenge Day program and Be the Change movement. They have helped transform the lives of honestly millions of young people and adults throughout the world, drawing on a lifetime of experiences on a variety of topics such as diversity education, gender training, addiction, communication, parenting, team and relationship building. Their moving and experiential sessions have inspired countless individuals to live, work, interact as the everyday heroes they were born to be. Rich and Yvonne have been featured, now check this out, on broadcast television and documentaries worldwide. And I'm not talking about the no-namers that we would be like, huh, what is that? I mean, Oprah, on the Oprah Winfrey Show, twice. They have an Emmy Award-winning documentary, Teen Files Surviving High School. The Bully Solution, which won the Canadian Blue Ribbon Award for Excellence in Broadcasting. And if those of you who are old enough to remember, like I am, when MTV was it, they had the show called If You Really Knew Me, which aired nationally on MTV, modeling all that they teach. Their inspirational message of hope, compassion, and service just permeates in everything they do. Their book, Be the Hero You've Been Waiting For, has inspired thousands and has been the basis for countless classroom and family discussions. I am so honored to turn it over to my dear friends. Please join me in welcoming Rich and Yvonne.
Thank you, Danelle. Wow. I've already been moved to tears over and over again. Thank you for this beautiful opportunity. Before the pandemic, we were with Danelle and the REACH conference and all the team with hundreds and hundreds of teenagers as the health department said, oh, this pandemic is coming. Please have nobody hug or get close to each other. We did our very best to teach them how to do fist bumps and foot hits and whatever we could do, elbow bumps. And soon as they started opening up and sharing If You Really Knew Me and getting vulnerable, their arms were around each other, the tears were falling down their faces and there for everyone else. And we went back home afterwards and went to our board of directors and said, we need to close down the organization, which was one of the most traumatic things I've experienced. We've been doing this work for 35 years. I've been working with Danelle and the team for about 30 of those 35 years. And, you know, I prayed to God at one point during the pandemic. I said, you know, I need to put this love somewhere. We were flying every single week for 35 years doing this work, traveling. And so I got a call from a friend and said, please bring the work of Challenge Day and the Be the Change movement to the refugees around the world. Whew. Had no clue that this work can be done on Zoom, 10 weeks with people from all over Africa. And now, unfortunately and fortunately, we are working with Ukrainian refugees, primarily LGBTQIA people, to get them out of harm's way. So that's a little what we're doing. I got home last night from Africa and I'm ready, and I need this conference as much as everyone else here. So it's beautiful to be here. Let's take a nice deep breath, everyone. Breathe deeply in. All the way in, and let it all the way out, all the way out. We do a lot of breathing in our work. We need breathing continually. Thank you, Chow, for our meditation. I hope you're coming back soon. I want to teach you something before we go any further. This sign is American Sign Language for I love you. Thank you. I'm feeling the love being sent back. we use it to say, I love you, to say, I see you, to say, I care, to say, you're not alone, to say, you matter. It's a way of connecting. And we never knew for 35 years how important this would be on Zoom while we're working with people. So at any point during this conference, during our part or any part, you want to send love to people, this is a wonderful way to let them know I'm here and you are not alone. And Richie, I'm going to turn it over to you. How come you're by the Golden Gate Bridge when I really know you're
because my background was so flat. I just want to say what an honor it is to be here. When the view was everyone on screen, I saw people that we've worked with before, that we know, people we come to love, and then I saw a lot of people that I don't know. And I just want to acknowledge you all for your amazing choice to be here. I loved what the speakers, and I mean, every presentation so far has been beautiful. And I know, Erin, you called Danelle fam, and she just claimed us as fam too. And I want to say it was really moving to me to hear your conversation, and that my father passed also in this last year, or last COVID times. And one of the things that I wanted you to know is that we may be fam because my birthday is November 28th, and it's the day that your father died. So we may have a connection here. And I just want you to know that I look forward to knowing you better and more. I loved what you had to say. I want to just say, I also feel like the luckiest man on the planet. I get to travel all around the world with the love of my life. It's been 35 years we've been married, and I watch her shine, and I get to see her be in her most magnificence when she's giving love and sharing it with other people. But I also want to say that just doing the work has been such an inspiring thing. And I just, over the last times during COVID, Erin talked about all the things we faced. And I turned 63 during COVID. And that time was a weird time for me because I'm going, wow, when we were 25 and 27 and started Challenge Day and the Be the Change movement, we thought, we're going to change the world. We're going to live in a world where everyone is safe and loved and celebrated. And the idea really drove us forward. It called us forth. And we did make a difference. We made a huge difference, as Danelle was mentioning, where a lot of people, but when I turned 63, I looked and went, wow, we're in a pandemic. There's political separation. Things are really breaking down. It's not, the world isn't saved. And it took me I don't know how long, but I was in a little bit of a depression, actually, a little hopelessness. Like it felt like the wave of negativity had just hit me, and I was scared that maybe it wasn't for nothing. And then I remembered one of my favorite stories is a story of a starfish, and some of you about a starfish, little boy and starfish that some of you may know. And I'll just tell you the story, and I'll show you what I mean by this. So there was a big storm, huge storm, and thousands of starfish were washed up on a beach. And this little boy was walking on the beach, and he started throwing back one starfish at a time. Get back here, back here. And this elderly man came over the hill on the other side and says, what are you doing? He says, saving starfish, saving starfish. And he says, oh, don't worry, you'll never make a difference. There's so many, you'll never get to all of them. He goes, I made a difference for that one. And that's when I remembered that the thing to do is to take the assignment that shows up in front of you, the human being that's in front of you, the situation that's in front of you, the unrest that's in front of you, the fire that's in front of you, whatever it is, and to add love to that situation. And then I realized that that's what we do every day, and that's what we can do every day. And I want to include somebody that you might miss, the person that's you in the mirror, the person that got up every day and made a choice to be at a conference like this, made a choice to add to the betterment of the planet. So I just want to acknowledge that that's who you are, that's who we are, and that's what we can do together. I talk about the formula.
Yeah, thank you, Richie. We've been teaching for years and never knew how important it become pandemic time. Our formula for change, which is 3 very simple steps. They are notice, choose, and act. Now, people often think our work is about love, when actually our work is about consciousness. It's about waking up and becoming conscious. And then when we're awake, who we are is love. So using this formula for change throughout the pandemic and every day has been crucial, to wake up every day and notice what's happening in the world around me. Today, we're noticing, how is my heart? What is the condition of my heart, my body, and soul? As we come together as people who are holding people and taking care of people. It's so important we notice if we are being held. We, as the holders of so many people, need to make sure we have a lap to rest in, arms to be held by, to be hugged by. So just notice every day, do you have what you need? And that's already been said so beautifully by so many people, and especially Erin this morning. The choose part, that's when we notice something is going on. During the pandemic, after the first 9 months, I noticed I was not smiling as much. I noticed I was snapping at Rich. I noticed I was getting impatient with my kids. I noticed that my heart was sad and I wasn't sharing that as much as I needed to. Second step is choose. During the pandemic, we chose to bring our family together every single day and do some of the tools we're going to be practicing in the next few minutes. And that was to sit down and share. We had all of our kids and our grandchildren with us during the pandemic. So we had a house full. So we spent time choosing to spend time to really talk about what's going on. And the act we did, because the most important thing is once we noticed what we need, chose what we're going to do, is to actually put that in action. We sat down with our children and grandchildren, and all of us, we shared, if you really knew me, I'm noticing I'm feeling sad. If you really knew me, some of us were noticing they didn't want, like, they were glad they didn't have to go to school for a while. So we just got real and shared those things. One of the things I re-noticed for me is that it's so important for me every single day when I wake up in the morning to start my day by taking care of me. And Rich and I always start first before we get out of bed and completing the sentence, something I'm grateful for is. And this morning I said to Richie, I'm grateful that I woke up in your arms after 2 weeks away while I was in Africa. And Rich said, I'm grateful that we get to go to this conference today and be held and to hold. And that's one of the practices we have. Also for us, music is really, really important. It really, for us, our kids and our grandkids, ways that we take care of heart and soul, and we dance a lot and sing a lot together. And what I would like to do to start off is to give you an opportunity, we'll see if this will work, is to be able to just rest in your own heart and your own soul. I'm going to do a quick meditation for you, kind of a guided imagery in giving thanks for who we are. In our organizations and everything we do, we take a holistic approach. We address the whole self, our bodies, our minds, our hearts, and what we call spirit. And we celebrate diversity in all that. Diversity in our bodies, our shapes and sizes, the beautiful colors of our skin, our hair, our freckles, all the differences in who we are in this body. I like to call this body temple. And then noticing the difference in our minds and our thinking and how we look at the world. And heart, noticing the feelings we have and the diversity in our feelings, especially during these last few years. Happy, sad, mad, glad, afraid, scared, panic, not wanting to go out, what is going on? And then in our spirit. So I'd like to take you on a little journey, and I'm going to invite you just to breathe, very similar to what Chow had us do. And I'm going to invite you just to listen to the words, and I'm going to give us a chance to honor those parts of us that had to be drawn forward so much and so powerfully during the last 3 years. And Richie, let's see if this is going to work.
And I just want to acknowledge the songs from a friend of ours. His name is called John Aston. It's called Love, Serve, and Remember.
And invite you to breathe. Most important. And with your eyes closed, just listen to the music. Beautiful Tuesday morning, I ask you, why have you come to earth? And I want to invite everyone to take a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, I'd like to put your attention on your body. This beautiful body of yours. Maybe stretch a little, move a little. You are in a body, and because we're in a body, we can laugh, we can cry, we can sing, we can thank you, body. Let's give thanks to this body that holds us and carries us through our lives. I'm going to invite you to take another nice deep breath in. And on the exhale, I'd like you to please put your attention on your mind. Beautiful minds we have. And know that you are not your mind. This mind is a servant for us. It's a tool for us. If we learn to use it instead of it using us. Just notice your thoughts. Thousands and thousands of thoughts will come and go all day long without you doing And I'll invite you all to take a nice deep breath in again, and on this exhale, I'd like you to notice your heart. Notice your heart is open, or your heart is closed, and don't judge anyone. Know that all your thoughts are welcome to today. Happy, sad, mad, sad, whatever you're feeling. Are meant to go through us. They are energy that's supposed to move, not just stay locked in us. And then I invite you to take another nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, please wrap your arms around yourself and give thanks for this beautiful day. And thank you, Richie.
I think you want to stay close to your mic on that, but for the next time. We're going to move you into breakout groups in a moment. But before we do, I'm going to ask that, can we get a gallery view of the whole screen? Because I want you to see who's here and that you're not alone before we send you off into the, so everyone on that gallery view. So let's see the whole screen. Gallery.
Richard, you're hitting the microphone, babe, with papers, I think.
Okay, thank you. So as we look around, look at all the people here who have chosen the great choice of spending their day together. Everyone in this screen you're looking at is an everyday hero, a difference maker, a healer. Everyone here, if you need to, if you're on a phone, scroll through, if you're on a computer, get up close so people can see you. If you're off screen, come on screen. The whole point here is we don't have to do this alone. We can make a difference for that one right in front of us alone, but we can't make a difference as a collective unless we know we have people to reach out to. Maybe you're looking at people who have aligned with you or partnered with you on some project before, or someone you've only heard about. But just notice that you're not alone. And I invite you on a little treasure hunt. Imagine that every single person came with an assignment for you. They have a gift for you, a gold offering for you that no one else can give. And so throughout the conference, as you watch the chats or you see people speak or you're in a breakout room, really look for and expect to be gifted, because this is for you. It's this whole conference is for you to receive and to fill up your cup so you have more to give. Now, I want to reiterate what Danelle has been saying all along, that you're going to break into a small group or a breakout room. And I got to just tell you, I've been so inspired working with the refugees. They get online, they don't have any bandwidth on their internet, they fall off on and off at different times, and they still keep coming back. They're so committed to find a place that's safe to be seen and celebrated. And that is our vision. Our vision is to create a world where every child feels safe, loved, and celebrated. And that's not just every young person, but that's that child that still lives inside of each and every one of our hearts. The part that gets stimulated or challenged when we feel like there's something wrong or we're in trouble or whatever. The part that needs to be seen and celebrated for who we are. We all have that. So this is a chance to give that to yourselves by allowing it to giving it to other people as well. So please stay on screen as much as you can. I had somebody in the last breakout that wasn't able to get on screen, but she texted me and said, I had technical difficulties, I'm sorry. And I sent back a note and we talked for a little while on chat. So whatever you need to do to be able to be present and let people know you're with them, that's what we're inviting you to do in this next piece. Now, go ahead. And we can go back to the other phone. And Yvonne too. Yeah.
So before we break into groups, I want to share with you a little bit about what we're going to do. First of all, I want to remind us all that the kids, our children, have the answers. Raise your hand if you have children or you work with children or you have grandchildren or kids that live near you that come around. Okay, let's talk now about kids. Little kids, when they were born, they came into the world fully alive, fully expressed. Think about a little kid. When they are happy, they do not keep quiet about it. You know they are happy. They'll yell, they'll jump, they'll scream, they'll do dances. They will sing out loud and they don't care one bit if you think their voice is good or not. The same way with their dancing. They'll do their dance moves and they don't care if you think they dance well or not. They are just fully alive, fully expressed. Take that same little kid, laughing, playing, singing, dancing, trips and falls and scratches their knee. We all know what happens to that wound on the knee. Without any magical things other than maybe a kiss and a Band-Aid, that wound starts to heal all by itself. Think about that. Everyone take a moment and think about that. We were born equipped to heal physically. If we were born equipped to heal physically, could it be also true we are born equipped to heal emotionally? Take that same little kid who's dancing, singing, playing, trips and falls and scratches their knee. You know what that child will do. They will cry. And we all know they don't cry quietly. They'll often throw themselves on the floor, twist into pretzels, screaming, yelling, ah! And 2 minutes later, like, hey, you want to play? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. They get the feelings out and they are fine. You all, we are feeling human beings our entire life. But in our society, through the media, through schools, in our family, all over, we have been taught to keep our feelings inside. This is a time on the planet where we cannot keep those inside. What happens is we start blowing these feelings into what I describe as an emotional balloon. And we have so many feelings, all of us, I'm sure, from the pandemic, being alone, not being able to be by people we loved who died and couldn't go to their funerals, watching the children, the grandchildren on Zoom every day, trying to figure out how to be in school and not having friends, not playing. We can go on, and we all have different things in our balloons, but I know we can all relate at this point. What we need to do to empty these emotional balloons, because if we don't empty them, what happens is they get bigger and bigger and they leak out. And we all know who these balloons will leak on. It's the people we are closest to. Our husbands, our wives, our partners, our friends, our children, our grandchildren, they leak out in lots of ways. So what we're going to do is we're going to gift us the opportunity to empty our emotional balloons. We're going to do what we call dropping the water line. And let me see, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about an iceberg. Raven has put an iceberg up there for us, the healing of healers. If everyone takes a great look at that iceberg, what you'll notice is there's only a little portion of the iceberg that is visible to the human eye. That top part above the waterline, we like to call our image. We call it our image because it's showing what we show to the public, what we feel most comfortable showing to people. Our image is often our titles. It could be you're a teacher, you're a social worker. It could be my title is a parent. My title is also a grandparent. Also, what often is in the image is what we do, what we like to do. I like to go skiing. I like to go jogging. So it's the things we do. I also want to say another thing that often is in the image is our trying. I'm trying to keep things going. I'm trying to take care of all the people who depend on me. I'm trying to cook and clean and figure out if this pandemic is ever going to end. Our trying is usually up in our image. That is about 10% of us. It depends on who you are, how much is up there or not. We have now 90% below this waterline, 90%. I would like you please to raise your hand and share what is below this waterline that maybe you have put in there in the last couple of years through COVID. And if you raise your hand, maybe someone can call them out for me.
Or just say it out loud as well.
Say it out loud, unmute and just call it out. What is below that waterline for you? Danelle, what's one thing below the waterline for you?
Fear.
Fear. Thank you very much. I'm going to add to that.
Overwhelm.
Overwhelm. Thank you. Keep going.
Guilt. Frustration.
Guilt.
Frustration. Yeah.
Unsure.
Unsure. Thank you. What else?
Crippling
Anger.
stress.
Stress.
Grief.
Unprepared.
Unprepared. I heard anger too.
Grief.
Grief. Thank you. I'm going to add to that our tears of love, our tears of joy. A lot of those have been put under the waterline, not shown. Also, what's under there often is our tears of sadness, our tears of grief, our tears of loneliness, our tears of separation are often under the waterline, especially after these couple of years, and especially with the young people that so many of us are working with. What is also often under this waterline is often love and joy are often put underneath there. A lot of us have felt like so many people are suffering Do I deserve to continue to have joy and be able to enjoy life? Just take a moment and think to yourself, what did you put under the waterline during this pandemic, during all the disasters and things we have been dealing with? What is under the waterline for you? Our challenge, our work is so simple. All we do is challenge people to have the courage to take the 10%, mix it with the 90%, and drop that water line all the way down to the bottom and have some time to empty our emotional balloons and share what we've been hiding, or maybe just haven't had an opportunity to share for so long. And down it goes.
So you can live 100% fully alive.
And here's the thing, if we have all these feelings under our waterline, not only do we feel yucky, but also we cannot think clearly. If anyone has had a foggy brain during the pandemic in these last few years, it's because, you know, this invisible enemy is out there to get us, and all we're dealing with keeps us from being able to think and to process. So what we're going to do in just a moment, we're going to put you into breakout rooms of 4 people, approximately 4 people. Going to have 15 minutes in this group. In this group, once you get there with the 4 people, if one person can just volunteer to keep time on your phone, and each person will have 3 minutes each to complete the most important sentence we believe we can ever complete in our life. And that is, if you really knew me, you know this about me. If you really knew me, you know that about me. And just whatever comes, and the goal here is vulnerability. What we often hide under the waterline is our vulnerability. We believe our vulnerability is our superpower, especially right now on the planet. When Rich started to cry a few minutes ago, I saw different people start to cry. I started to cry. So when we have the courage to show our vulnerability, not only are we healing, and perhaps even from deep trauma, we're also modeling for other people. It's okay for us to feel. It's okay for us to share these vulnerable feelings.
We actually say that we believe that tears are strength, they're not weakness, that we don't fall apart, we actually fall together, because it gets away all the things that are stuck in our balloons and sets us free. Now, I want to, before we move into the breakout room, come back to the full screen gallery view again, please. So I want to see the whole screen with all the people so we can see. We're going to ask you to raise your hand if something applies. So we want to go to that gallery views. Let's see. I think I can do it there. Gallery. Okay. Now, I know on Zoom, we sometimes will raise the little yellow hand, and that's one way we can raise our hand. But I physically want you to actually raise your hand when I ask you some questions, because I want people to see that we're opting in each time and that we're actually raising our hand if something we say applies to you. So I have a few questions. So we all know, again, how much has happened. And so I'm going to say it as if these are all raise your hand if it's happened over the last couple of years. So since the pandemic, since the fires, since the different losses we've had, since now with the war, we are having these experiences. So raise your hand if over the past few years you found yourself, your family members of those you're serving, feeling scared, hopeless, or depressed. And look around. Notice who shares this with you. And like I said, we're not alone. Go ahead and drop your hand. Raise your hand if over the past few years you've lost sleep worrying about a family member or a client.
Everybody breathe.
Everyone just keep breathing and notice that your hands are up. Now, over the past few years, if you've had someone you've had to hold someone who was feeling suicidal in the past few years. Again, notice we're not alone. You're still here, and hopefully they are. Just notice. Okay, thank you. And drop your hands. Over the last few years, you found yourself having to deal with intense trauma or loss, personally in your life or with your clients.
Breathe.
Again, just notice. Go ahead and drop your hands.
What do you
Raise your
remember?
hand again if you know your support has helped or to change or save a life. If you know in the last couple of years your support has helped to change or save a life. That's why you're here. That's why we're here together. We're healers, we're difference makers. We've shown up, we've answered the call. So thank you for whatever you did to make that possible. Raise your hand if on the screen you see someone on screen that you've partnered with and to create a solution that you needed in your community at any point. Look at the network. We don't have to do this alone. We get to show up for each other. And the last question before this is raise your hand if you've been forced to change jobs or pivot in some way of how you live and work during this whole pandemic time. So again, we share this. You can go ahead and drop your hands. Now, the reason we ask you to look at those categories is because when you go talk about your if you're really newbies, you're going to have a chance to practice the two most important tools we think anyone has ever learns in our life. One is how to drop the waterline and just get real and share from your heart. The other is to give the gift of listening. What I mean by that is if we're listening, we're definitely not talking. We don't have to fix it. We don't have to change it. We don't have to coach anybody. Don't even have to help anybody in this moment. All we have to do is open our ears so we can hear, and most of all, listen with our hearts. We're going to invite you to listen, and most of you know how to do this anyway. Listen so well you actually feel what it's like to live the life of the person who's speaking or to go through the experience they're speaking. The reason we had you raise your hands for some of those categories is because those are some of the things that maybe it's time to get out of your emotional balloon below the waterline to share some of those things. How's it been for you the last few years? What have you gone through? What are you dealing with personally in your life? These are your chance to share. And so we're going to move into groups of 4. Are you ready, Yvonne?
Yeah, and just to be real clear, when you get there, you choose one person to keep track of time. Each person will have 3 minutes each. We gave a couple extra minutes for transitions, just getting into group.
I could probably put the timing on the up in the thing, I imagine too.
Yeah, it can be a little more confusing depending when they start. Person with the timer, you can just go like this and wave it when the time is ended for that person, and then we thank that person, go to the next person. The challenge, of course, is to drop the waterline as low as you're willing to gift people with. And also I want to ask that for an agreement, would everybody please raise your hand if you will make the agreement to keep everything you hear in these groups confidential. You will not share it with anyone so we can have a safe place to go, to be heard, to be witnessed, and to drop the waterline and do some healing for ourselves. Thank you.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Let's do this. All right, groups of 4. Go for it, everybody. This is your space now. We're healing the healers this time.
Notice what happens in your group and how you feel differently about them, because we're going to check back in when you come back.
Beautiful. Welcome back, everybody. Let's all take a nice deep breath in again. All the way in, and let it out. And I'd love you, please, to raise your hand. I'd love to hear from some of you. How was it for you to go to your group and drop your waterline? Or how was it for you to listen to people and what they had to share? So please raise your hand. I'd love you to jump in here.
And also, how did it affect the way you feel about the people in your group as you heard them share?
Who'd be willing to share how it was? Go ahead and raise your little electronic
Virtual hands.
reaction.
It looked like
Also
Shelby
for-
wanted to share.
I was going to say, yeah, Yvonne, I see people like literally raising their hands,
Okay,
and we can't see you all. So maybe at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little icon or a little word that says reactions. And when you click on reactions, you have the opportunity to put your Zoom hand up, and that moves you to the front of the screen so Rich and Yvonne can see that your hand is raised. So let's try that and see if we can see everyone's hands that way.
Like
Okay, go ahead.
bliss.
And
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So hi, everyone. My name is Bliss. And I just wanted to pop in here real quick because I really appreciated my group. And for me, it felt, I immediately started to cry when I started talking because, you know, it's what I talked about was just something so heavy on my heart. And I also saw my two co-space workers also being vulnerable. And I feel like when I, excuse my parakeets, when I opened up that it really opened up my partners too in the group. And I think also, you know, I'm a critical gender studies scholar and feminist scholar, a feminist theory scholar. And for me, you know, my whole group was with men, and it felt really like a wow moment to hear them and, you know, and their struggles. And I just really felt like I could see them, and I really appreciated them for that. And you two know who you are. So thank you for doing that. And I felt like it was fate that we were in that group together.
yeah, when there's over 7 billion people on the planet, we find each other, it can be nothing other than a miracle. And Bliss, would you share one thing that you shared that maybe brought tears to your eyes? If we really knew you, would you share with all of us?
Yeah. So my, if you really knew me, is that today is my sister's 24th birthday. And I was letting my group know that we haven't spoken in over 9 months, and that it's something that I deal with every day because, you know, we went through a really horrible fight, and it was just things that were said by her that I feel like I would betray myself if I were to reach back out to her and to try to amend things. And, you know, today being her birthday, and, you know, my birthday being 6 days from now, it's just, it's hard. It's really hard. And I just miss her a lot. So I guess I needed to get that off my chest.
Mm.
And sweetheart, can you see the love that's being sent from people? So yeah, I love you sign. Thank you for letting us know about that piece below and in your heart and below the waterline. Michelle, can you see other hands? People can raise your
Gavin, Gavin?
Gavin, please.
Yeah, it's Gavin. I get that a lot. I felt incredibly blessed to have my partners open up so deeply, because I'm a complete stranger to them. And so to see into their lives, but the hardest part of them and the part that they have struggled with was completely moving. And it's always amazing to me. I'm a people person. I love getting to know people on a very deep level. So it's always, you know, so like, I just feel completely blessed that someone felt like they could open up like that.
And Gavin, what's one thing we'd know if we all really knew you?
That probably that some days I don't want to be on this earth, but I'm still here.
So glad you're here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And raise your hand if you felt like that in the last 3 years, even entertain the idea or the thought of what are we doing here? Do I even want to be here anymore? And notice that you're not alone, sweetheart. And thank you for sharing that. Michelle, please.
Shelby had their hand up too.
Yeah, okay, good, Michelle.
Oh, Michelle, okay.
You're still on mute, Michelle.
Am I supposed to be talking?
I saw your hand up, or you were just raising your hand.
Oh no, you said raise your hand if you
Shelby's
can relate.
Shelby's
So
ready.
Shelby's next, yes.
I just something amazing happens when you can just go into a chat room with 3 other women or men or whoever, humans that you don't know, and you can just be completely vulnerable. Like the thing that I shared was something that I don't say out loud to most people. And it was, we all come from, we have different jobs, we have different things that are triggering us or that are hard for us or that are making us sad. And I just think that we all were so vulnerable and so brave and so fierce as to sit there and tell these strangers what is going on with us. And like I told them, I'm like, it did something to me to know that I'm not the only one struggling, and to know that these women put down their walls to tell me what is making them, what's below their waterline. And it was great. It was great. And I really appreciate the women that I was in my group with.
And Shelby, you're so right. It does something to us. Not only does it help us feel connected to one another and also help to empty that emotional balloon, but especially if there is tears. Do you know if you cry tears of grief or sadness and look under a microscope at them, they look totally different than tears of joy. And that's because our bodies know how to heal, and they know how to release and what to release from the body. Another thing that I've experienced, why I say vulnerability is your superpower, is because when we're in each other's presence and someone gets real, gets vulnerable, gets raw, maybe even cries, we can do no other but to fall in love with that human being. Just think to yourself, if you feel love for people right now that you maybe never met before we started today. And that's usually because we're connecting on a place that is a different energy and a different vibration. It comes from the heart, not from the image.
It's below the waterline. And that activity, if you really knew me, we encourage everyone to take it with you wherever you are, at the dinner table with your family, anywhere that you go. It's a possibility of having real connection. The little caveat is don't expect them to drop the waterline as low as you just did necessarily, because our role modeling is our best teaching tool. So if we go first, then people will follow. So thank you, Shelby, for having the courage to go there.
Thank you.
We have one more person share. Is there someone else there? Can you see somebody, Richie, do?
There's no hand on the yellow. If you want to raise your hand to speak, if you want to share how it was for you, how you felt, you can. There's it looks like Anne.
Anne, please.
Annie or
Yeah, Annie. So I just wanted to say that doing all the different kinds of work that we all do, that we're very good at reaching out and allowing others to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable ourselves is something that we're not used to. Our group was absolutely amazing in the support of each other and in what everybody was willing to share. And so I think that's just what I wanted to share. It's a huge thing to be able to be on the other side of it, as we expect others to find us to be a safe space, but to depend on them to be a safe space.
Thank you for that, Annie. And would you share one thing we'd all know if we really knew you?
If you really knew me, you would know that my biggest fear is not knowing how to help somebody. My biggest fear is not being enough. And making sure that and making sure that I can say no. I do not say no.
Good notice. So thank you. So you
like to say up until now.
Until now.
And you notice that you haven't up until now said no. What do you choose now? That's the second step to the formula for change. What do you choose?
Well, I'm going to choose to say no when it's appropriate for me.
Beautiful.
And then the action is to actually do that.
That'd be a little harder.
But
up until now, it used to be harder. Now you make a choice.
I believe in you, Annie. I believe in you. And I also believe that there's no accident when someone speaks, that we all need to get the message. So everyone just take a moment and go inside and see where you said yes, when maybe your mind, body, heart, or spirit needed to be a no. And really give yourself permission to do that, to allow yourself to say, no, not this time. I need to take care of me. So,
After we go to this break, we're going to go into in a moment to give you a chance to use the restroom and do an activity that Yvonne's going to share with you. We're going to move into a forgiveness activity. And part of what we can forgive ourselves is those times we stepped over ourselves, times that we've said yes when we're really a no. And we'll talk more about that as we come back. But you're right on track, Annie. Thank you for bringing that up.
and Shelley, I see in the chat that you saying no is very difficult. You're right. That usually starts because so young, people have this thing they call the terrible twos, which I think it's terrible to call them terrible twos, because at 2 years old is when we're supposed to learn how to say no. It's a time, it's a developmental stage. And it's a time that we need to realize that I'm not my mother or my father. I am me. I am an individual person. And so to say no is so important at 2 years old, because that is the developmental stage. We did a parenting group here. Erin helped us with it. And one of the things we talked about is, if you are parenting 2 years old, or if you know people who are parenting, a great tool is tell them to give choice. Okay, I can put you in your car seat, or daddy can put you in your car seat. You get to choose. Or do you want the red bib or the blue bib? You get a choice. They feel like they're in power and they get that choice, which they are in power and they do get to choose, but it's what the caregivers are wanting them, to do. So it works. Best tool in that time, that to know that them saying no is not that they're being mean or bad or wanting to make everyone upset. It's a developmental stage. If we cannot say no when we're 2, the next time that comes back around is in the teenage years. If we do not get those tools in our toolbox at our teenage years, we can grow up and be 61 like I am and still not be able to say no. So we do a lot of work with young people, in particular teenagers, on saying no and being able to really voice that out with their 2 feet on the ground. We can do that at any age. 2 feet on the ground, feeling yourself in your body, listening to what you need, notice, choose, and act, and then speaking the words. No, thank you. I'm going to choose to pass this time. I'm taking care of me. When you say that out loud, you're giving permission to everyone you say that to, for them to do that too. Okay.
It's time for a break, I think, Yvonne. So
yes, so let's take a 10-minute break. So we'll come back in 10 minutes.
Let's say 11 o'clock. That's 9 minutes.
Okay, let's come back at 11 o'clock. Perfect. Wow. Welcome back, everybody. Raise your physical hand if you actually took a moment and looked in your eyes and looked in the mirror, either winked at yourself, said you're doing great, a thumbs up, or did anything to acknowledge you.
Good job, Annie. I see you.
Lydia,
I see you, Tracy. Good job.
Bravo, everybody. Let's start right now. Let's take a nice deep breath in, all the way in, and then let it out. And I'm going to invite everybody just to take a moment and brush off anything that might be on you that you don't need, maybe anything that happened this morning trying to get online. Everyone just kind of brush yourself off, just brush off. You could also brush off your mind if you're having thoughts that are getting your wake up, literally just pull them out. I see you, there you go. And then you can kind of shake a little. There you go, shake your body. It's good, just kind of shake it out, let it go, beautiful. And with a nice deep breath in and let it out. And we're back to you, Richie.
I want to give acknowledgement to, there's a group called Interplay in Berkeley, and they came to the classes we do with the refugees and taught us that whole shake it off, brush it off thing. And it really had a major effect. And so I just want to give them props, as they say. I want to invite you all again to go to gallery view if you can. And if you don't know how, it says view up in the top corner where the little dots are, and then you can go gallery or speaker view.
So it's
And
in the right-hand corner.
up top right-hand corner, usually it says view, and then it'll give you a choice to come in gallery.
Should be
And
able
the
to see
reason-
lots of people now once you find it.
Yeah, there you go.
Beautiful. I love your flowers, Tracy. Wow, those are beautiful.
Well, it's better than the Bay Bridge because everyone has one. No, just kidding. I want to take us into, we had talked about that we're going to be doing a forgiveness activity, and we've done this activity with many types of groups, but also with the refugees, and it was really, really powerful for them. And we thought that sharing it with you would be a really beautiful thing to do. And I'll explain how we'll do it, or Yvonne will explain how we do that after we do this next raise your hand if, because I have some more questions for you to consider and invite you to raise your hand. First, raise your hand if over the past for a few years of your life, if you ever found yourself down or being harder on yourself than you are on other people.
I'll notice everybody.
Notice how many people share this with you.
Look around, you could
Look
scroll.
around. Maybe you remember back and think about those times, and invite you to consider treating yourself as good or better than you treat everyone else. Can you drop your hand? Raise your hand if you've ever felt guilty or bad about not being able to support somebody or have the resources to come through for what they needed. So once again, just notice how many people share this with you. Go ahead and drop your hand. Raise your hand if the pressures at work or the challenges that life has caused you, caused you to take things out on your family sometimes when you went home. The challenges you face, the difficulties of what you're dealing with. Yeah. We call that a leaking emotional balloon. We leak on the people closest to us. The people we love get the hardest from us when in fact we would show up in every other place differently than that. Raise your hand if you've ever felt like giving up. Just really felt like giving up. Forget it. This is not going to work. That was what I shared about when I started crying in my 63rd birthday. I just thought, man, it's not going to make a difference, but it does. Made a difference for that one. Go ahead and drop your hand. Raise your hand if you have any guilt about anything you've said, done, said or done in your life with people closest to you. With your clients, with your family, with your friends, with yourself. Go ahead and drop your hand. Raise your hand if you ever find it hard to forgive yourself or others. If it's just challenging, like you feel like I want to be right, I want to punish them, I want to punish myself, I don't deserve to be forgiven. That sometimes comes up for people. Drop your hand. Raise your hand if you know in this now that you might owe somebody an apology. As you think about it, maybe somebody could deserve an apology from you. Could be a family member, could be yourself, could be your spouse, your partner. Okay, drop your hand. And last question, raise your hand if you've made any choices during the pandemic that you don't feel good about. Maybe some people start drinking alcohol more or doing other kind of addictive behaviors, or just stop working out or stop doing what they need to. People make choices. And go ahead and drop your hand. So we're going to move into a forgiveness activity. You can consider the things you just said as part of this activity, or anything else that just comes to your mind, and Yvonne's going to explain how it works.
Thank you, Rich. So here's the thing. Guilt in, Rich, you might want to mute, baby. Guilt in our bodies, it actually pulls us down and keeps us small. And sometimes we are afraid to forgive ourselves and let go of the guilt for fear we will do those things over again, or I don't know, it won't make a difference. It is so important we forgive ourselves. Because part of what we're doing as we are the holders of people is encouraging them to let go of their guilt, encouraging them to forgive themselves, encouraging them to see they are human. And as humans, we all make mistakes. Raise your hand once again if you've ever done anything you feel guilty about, you feel bad about, you wish you hadn't done or said. So notice, if you think you are so exceptional that you shouldn't make mistakes, then you're not part of the human family. It's just part of being human. So as people who are holding other people, it is crucial we do our own work before we ask them to do this work. So all we're going to do in a few moments is a very simple process that for 35 years we did in person. And we actually tried it with our refugees at the beginning of the pandemic, and it worked beautifully. The way it's going to work is very simple. I'm going to invite you to drop the waterline and be real again in this process. In a moment, when I say, we're all going to unmute, and at that point, we will turn off our video cameras. With the video cameras off, we will all be speaking at the same time out loud, completing the sentence. I forgive myself for. I forgive myself for. Everyone take a breath. Let it out. Just notice any thoughts that are coming up as I'm introducing this activity. So the way it will work, let's say my screen is off and I'm going to be doing the process right along with you. So it's all Danelle and her team and Richie, we're all going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be speaking out loud. We won't be able to recognize the voices because it's all going to be happening at once. It'll be like this whole, I don't even know what to call it, orchestra of us all forgiving ourselves together. After we do that for a while, you'll just keep repeating. For example, I forgive myself for the times I snapped at my children because inside I was under stress and scared. I forgive
myself for the times that I was too busy to listen and stop with my family.
I forgive myself for not wanting to get up out of bed some days because it just felt like too much to hold.
I forgive myself for the times I get lazy and don't do the service or active change I could do because I'm too tired.
I forgive myself for not working out and taking care of myself as much as I needed to during the pandemic. I did a lot of sitting on the couch, and instead of getting active and taking care of this body of mine.
Are you wanting to stay with just I forgive myself for or both the top?
I forgive myself. Yes,
Okay, we'll do that one first. I saw a couple of hands earlier. Are they the questions answered that you needed? I think it was Shelby and somebody else had a hand up.
Yeah, I think they're good.
Okay.
So we'll do this for a few minutes and just keep going. And I'm going to invite you to really look. I mean, look in the closet, look under your bed. It may be during the pandemic, but what I know about us as human beings, we often carry guilt our entire life. Parents' guilt, guilt from being a child and things we're told you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're a bad kid. Anything you felt guilty about, look under the bed, in the closet, keep speaking. And when you speak the words, just breathe with it and notice that you're letting it go. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. And if there's tears in there, let those tears be there.
And I, as a person who was raised Catholic when I was younger and went to confession, it was the kind of the same experience as we get to say what it is we want to let go of. And apparently no one's supposed to know what you're saying. That'll be how it is here. There'll just be a chance for you to give yourself the gift of just anywhere you look. I forgive myself for not knowing sometimes. Whatever it is, just say those things out loud and see how it affects you.
And for the ones that are really big, you know, the ones that keep you up at night and make you think, wow, you can't even go to sleep because you haven't forgiven yourself, you may need to say the same thing over and over and over again. I forgive myself for not being able to go to my friend's funeral during the pandemic. I forgive myself for not being able to go to the funeral. Whatever you need to do to move that out of your body, to purify, so we can be in a better, more powerful and grounded place. After a while, you'll hear this sound. I'll do it about 3 times. And then I'll say, bring your share to a close. We'll take a nice deep breath in, and then I'll bring you back to screen, and we'll do some shares about the process. Please, please give yourself this gift. You have a chance to do this, and you can do it to the degree that really works, or you can play small. And I'm going to challenge you to really give yourself this gift and clean out all the guilt that you've ever had in your body.
And in case you missed the instruction, you want it to be all off mute and all off screen.
Any questions before we begin? Okay, let's close our cameras, turn the cameras off and unmute yourself. Now unmute yourself, beautiful, with the cameras down so it's anonymous the best you can. Okay, everyone off mute and begin.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
Forgive myself for putting myself in the fire.
Give myself.
Forgive myself.
Doing more for my family. Forgive myself for not being my friend. Forgive myself living each day to my fullest.
For not allowing
For not checking in or my friends when I really should.
Forgive
myself
For having clutter in my house, I forgive myself.
Forgive myself for not being
Grudges. Forgive myself
Forgive myself for
for
not saying I'm stressed.
for not forgiving others.
Forgive myself for not saying others when
Unrealistic expenses of myself for not
Forgive
talking to my
myself.
family.
Forgive myself for not making myself about everybody. For not too hard on myself.
Couldn't give them every single thing. I
Forgive myself.
Forgive myself. Forgive myself for fast every week for doing the things I needed to do to take care of myself.
I forgive myself for not taking the time to be with my family.
Forgive myself for not taking care of myself.
Forgive myself.
Forgive myself for allowing myself to gain weight to the point where I don't stop anymore. I forgive myself for not being at my hospital bed when she was away. Hungover, drunk.
Forgive myself for not being lazy. Forgive myself for forgive myself.
Forgive myself for not wanting to go to bed early.
I forgive myself for not
hurting this body. I forgive myself for
Bringing your shares to a close.
for my kids and expecting them to do perfect when I know that's perfect.
Forgive myself for not being there for my mom or my dad.
Or bringing your shares to a close, and everyone just breathe.
Take a moment, put your hands on your heart. We're going to do this before we unmute or take our cameras off. Put your hands on your own heart. Let the adult, the wise part of you, your higher self, hold you. Hold that little kid that still lives inside of you. Acknowledge yourself with your hands. Acknowledge yourself for what you just did. Acknowledge yourself for your courage. And I hope you forgave yourself for not forgiving yourself until now, if that's true. We are human beings doing the best we can every single day. And for all of us on here who are holding and loving and taking care of people, the forgiveness of ourselves is crucial, crucial. Go ahead and you can turn the camera on now so we can see each other. Sending each other love as we're coming to the screen, that I love you sign. Means I see you. Thank you for forgiving yourself with me. Thank you for forgiving yourself and the gift that that gives to all the people we take care of, we hold. And if there's tears there, let them out. Remember, tears are strength, they're not weakness. That's how we heal. And it helps our hearts open up. We'd love to hear from a few of you. How was this process for you? Please raise your hand, and maybe if someone can help me look and see which hands are up. Love to hear, how was it for you?
You can do the reaction hand or your regular hand if we can see you. So
how was it?
What we have,
I see.
Myra.
Yeah.
Yep. Good.
I put in the chat. I was like, dang, that was intense.
How was
I
it?
feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. It's hard knowing that there's no perfection, but trying to strive for that. And putting, for me, one of my forgiveness, I know you didn't ask, but was just knowing that there's no such thing as being perfect, but putting that pressure for my kids to be perfect. And that's hard as a mom.
Wow.
And so did you forgive yourself for that?
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing, honey. And who else to share? Love to hear from a few of you. How was this? And if you're willing to share maybe something you forgave yourself for, it'd be beautiful.
So this was a healing process for me. In the first round of lifting up our hands, I was with Bliss and Nico, and I found myself not lifting up my hand for something that I experienced because it bubbled up a sense of shame, and I didn't even realize I still held on to it. It was around whether we've held or helped someone with suicide, and I have. And I currently do with my job, and we do as an organization, and yet it bubbled up. I didn't raise my hand because it bubbled up the shame and guilt I guess I didn't realize I had or wouldn't validate from my neighbor committing suicide. And I guess maybe me sensing that and I know it's not the right thing to do, but I should have helped or I could have prevented. All those things we know, we try to train people not to feel. So it bubbled up a lot of guilt and a lot of shame and a lot of resentment of that situation. Not going to get into any more of that, but in that space, I said, I need to validate that because I didn't even know I had that in me. I didn't realize that that was still there. And so being able to forgive myself for holding on to that shame and not grieving the right way. And maybe I'll come home today and I'll be able to look at that house differently. You know, maybe I'll come home today and sense a different energy. So anyhow, thank you for not just having us share, but also create opportunities to heal. And I appreciate that.
And thank you, Scott, for letting us know that vulnerable truth. Yeah.
Did I see a hand from you, Jessica? You had a physical hand. Did you want to speak? Jessica Herrera.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, that was really intense. I forgive myself for feeling like I wasn't doing enough for the people that I love the most. and that I lost 2 weeks ago.
Look at the love, Jessica, on the screen. Yeah.
I forgive myself for being too hard on myself.
Maybe, as I said before, I believe there's no accident. So maybe that's something we all need to do, is to forgive ourselves for being too hard on ourselves. Thank you, Jessica. Chris, I see your hand. Would you please speak to us? How was it for you, honey?
And Gavin too.
Okay.
That was, before we got into it, I wrote a note to myself, which is, I don't know how to forgive myself. Because I've been trying to do it with my mind for years. And then the thought came to me, how come my body doesn't know how to forgive myself? And that was very deep. And I really had to go there with this. And I want to thank you, because I'll take the risk of this not making sense. But the first thing that came up is I had to forgive myself for being myself over and over and over again. And then I had to forgive myself for not being myself, because as a young kid, I trained myself out of being myself. So it's hard to make sense out of there, but like once that came up, all of this other stuff started to come up. So like I said, I'm taking the risk of that not making sense, but that was powerful. And I want to thank you for that.
I really felt your heart, Chris, and I honor you, especially as another man, being able to tell the truth about what's going on inside that we often will try to step over. So I just honor you and thank you for that. It's beautiful.
And what I've found for me, Chris, and this is for all of us in doing the work, rituals are like rite of passages. So even though this is very simple, that's what Oprah said, your work is very simple. And I said, yes, it's simple, Oprah, but it's not always easy, depending on what we're doing. And this is deep, deep work. But having a ritual that goes from before the ritual happens and now we're in a new place. We do that all the time with birthdays and anniversaries and graduations. And so let this be a time that we're doing a ritual to go move from one place to the other. And Chris and anyone else, if there's places in there, just keep doing it. Fake it till you make it. Just keep looking yourself in the eyes and seeing that little kid that lives in there and speak to the little kid. Because a lot of this comes from when we are little. We believe everyone does the best they can, including our parents. And a lot of us got a lot of messages. We're not good enough. We didn't do it good enough. We're not enough. And that's not the truth. You are enough, and enough to say sometimes that's all I've got.
There's similar to the If You Really Knew Me tool. This is one of those tools you could use anytime. So after we did it the first time with the refugees, I turned on some soft music and just started saying, I forgive myself for in my bed by myself, because there was things that came up that I heard that they were saying that really moved me. And so it's something you can use. Gavin, did you have your hand up earlier? You still want to speak?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of point out that with forgiving yourself, like Scott said earlier, it's not just forgiving yourself, it's also letting go of the, shame and guilt and fear often that is tied with that. So and those are very deep-rooted emotions. So forgiveness, you tackle one part of it and then you got another part and you got another part sometimes. And for those that have multiple parts to that forgiveness, I just want to say that you guys are doing really good.
That's a perfect segue. Actually, sweetheart, glad you brought that up. So now we're going to go to step 2, Gavin. And the step 2 is really just completing the sentence. I am letting go of. And here is the place. I'm letting go of fear. I'm letting go of the guilt. I'm letting go of expecting things to be the way I thought they would be. And so
Letting
this
go
is,
of shame. I'm letting go of beating myself up. I'm letting go of trying instead of being.
yeah. So we're going to do this process in completing this sentence. I'm letting go of. What are you ready to let go of? Notice, look inside your heart. What are you ready to let go of? Ready to let go of the expectation that today COVID's going to end and everything's going to be the same, or letting go of the memories that were painful, and maybe the voices that continually told you that you weren't enough. Maybe because there's so many people that needed you and needed us that we couldn't reach them all. I'm letting go of being perfect. I'm letting go of thinking I could be perfect. Whatever is there, we're going to do the same process. I'm letting go of, I'm letting go of, I'm letting go of, and then we're going to come back and share. Any questions? We've got this. Again, we're doing this together. You're not alone. Nobody can hear what you're saying. It's all just a kind of a mumble of prayers of letting go. So
It's for you. And the deeper you go, the more complete you are, the freer you'll feel. So I just encourage you to find every little corner, and I'm letting go of.
So everyone, we will put our cameras away, unmute yourself. Everyone unmute yourself. As we begin the process, go ahead and unmute yourself and begin. I am letting
go of.
Letting go of being.
Letting go.
I carry for
Everybody letting go.
Feeling like I should.
Letting go.
Always not doing anything. Letting go of the image. Letting go of letting go of the shame. Letting go of
Letting go of.
letting go of others, always helping and everything.
Letting go.
Letting go of the control, carrying the weight.
Friends, I'm letting go. Not bring anything positive into my life.
Never
I'm
asking
letting
anything.
go.
Of the judge, letting go of harming
The
myself.
hypocrisy.
Letting go.
I'm letting go.
High expectation. Worry about what other people think. Worry about what other people think and letting go. Worry about what other people think. Letting go of the negative thoughts. Letting go of the negative
Self-sabotage.
Letting go of
images that I have
letting go of what
the guilt and the shame that I have.
Wanting to do everything.
Letting go of
Letting go.
crying. And
like I didn't do enough for someone.
Letting go of
what should be.
I feel we can whatever need. Letting go of the worry that I'm hurt. Good. I have about worry that my family and the people in letting go.
Letting go.
Accumulated over the years.
Oh man.
Letting go of
I asked
And
aloneness
what
that I
should
put
have
myself in.
bring our shares to a close. Breathe. You did it perfect. Putting your hands on your own heart and acknowledging yourself for the courage to even go there, to look inside, to let go of the things that don't serve you or keep you small. Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations. Your best teaching tool is your model. When you're ready, We're going to put our cameras on, and when we do this, let's send love to everyone that's coming on the screen, letting them know we're not alone. I see you. Celebrate your letting go. I honor you. Thank you for your courage to set yourself free.
The reason we empty our emotional balloons is so that we can think clearly and get into solutions and get into action. When we're full, it's like we're trying to hold it back all the time. So thank you for letting go of some of the things that may be holding you back.
So let's take a nice deep breath in. All the way, all the way. Let it out all the way. Want to shake a little? You can do that kind of shake, shake, shake. Get yourself in your body. You can brush off anything that you didn't completely let go of. There we go. There we go. All right. Love to hear from a few of you. How was it to let go? What did you let go of? Anything you'd like to share in this process? Go ahead and raise your hand. Please, Tracy, share with us.
I had to let go of the fear of what letting go was going to be. Who am I if I'm not in all that pain, if I'm not in all that suffering, and if I'm not making myself pay for my mistakes? What happens? Who am I? Where does life go if I'm forgiven? I had to let go of the fear.
And what did you find?
That I have a lot to let go of. And I'm really not sure who I am without my stresses and my anxieties. And I have to build a new person without the stresses or anxieties, or at least figure out how to make them a tool.
Yeah, beautiful, Tracy. And you know, I say that especially if we are raised in families where there's a lot of stress and a lot of angst. Even though it's uncomfortable or maybe violence or whatever else is going on, what happens is that is what was familiar. I call it the breast milk we were raised on. And then if we get in habits in life where we hold guilt or we hold shame or we hold pain, it's what's, even though it's uncomfortable, if it's what we are used to, we will recreate it. And so I'm so glad you shared that, because it takes consciousness. That formula for change, notice, choose, and act is crucial in here when we change our lives. Are you really willing to let go, everybody? Are we really willing to forgive ourselves? Thank you for sharing that, Tracy. Rose, please share.
Well, mine, a little context is when I was growing up, we were really kind of poor and stuff. So when I had my kids, I thought, well, I'm going to raise them differently. They're going to get more stuff and, you know, things that I didn't have growing up. And now I'm feeling guilty because I've done so much for my kids that I've developed a fear of them failing. So I have to let go and let my children try and fail so that they can learn, because I'm not teaching them what they need to know in order to survive out there. So
wow.
That was very kind of freeing.
Congratulations, Rose, and congratulations for doing that. I know at one point I was letting go of my kids when they were younger. I was realizing that sense of fear of, are they going to be okay? And I actually, in the process of saying I let go, I symbolically cut the umbilical cords and set them free. It's like, it's not my job anymore. They have their own lives. Beautiful, Sharon.
Bliss, I noticed your hand was up. Bliss.
I just wanted to say that my statement was that I let go of all of the self-hatred that has built up inside of me. And I'm letting go of hating myself for just being me.
Hey, Bliss, I just want to say that I noticed your pronouns, and we're working with LGBTQIA+ refugees, and the self-hatred that because of what society has told you, or the reflections you've gotten, the things you've been said, it's so easy to internalize. And I'm really happy that you chose other in this now. and chose to set yourself free. You deserve to be seen and celebrated for who you are, exactly the way you are. And I just want you to know that I see you. I changed my pronouns on purpose online too, just so that I can join you.
Thank you for sharing that. And Annie, please share.
This kind of pertains to Bliss also. I've let go of what other people's expectations from a young age were of me and let myself be who I am as opposed to what the expectations that they've put on me.
Beautiful.
Congratulations. All right, let's take another nice deep breath in and let it out.
I guess, are we going to go in the next last one? Okay. So now what we've done is we forgave ourselves. We chose to let go of, but we want to move us into what do we choose to say yes to? What is it that I give myself permission for? What is it that I choose to celebrate? This is an opportunity for you to actually own it. It says it's, you have to notice, choose, and act. The smallest word, but the hardest thing to do is to act. And so what we're doing now is, now that we're free of the baggage, we get to look at, what do I choose moving forward? What do I choose in my counseling? What do I choose in my family? What do I choose for myself? This is you having the same opportunity to share what you're a yes to.
And this,
show me.
Yeah, and the sentence we invite you into is, I give myself permission to. So Richie and I'll kind of give you an example, go back and forth some things. I give myself permission to feel joy when so many other people in the world are suffering.
I give myself permission to celebrate the small successes and the big ones.
I give myself permission to rest and just really take time off and not think I have to save everyone in the world.
I give myself permission to just be and not try.
I give myself permission to go sit outside in nature and just be on the earth and feel it feeding my heart and soul.
I give myself permission to love you so big that it hurts inside.
I give myself permission to cry as many tears as I need to cry until my balloon is empty so I can then fill it with joy and love.
I give myself permission to trust and surrender.
You know for you where you need to go with this. Remember, we're doing this together. The deeper we go, the more we heal ourselves, the more we claim for ourselves, the more we have to give to others around us. You're doing a beautiful job. You can't do this part wrong either. And so you know the words, I give myself permission, and I want you to go for it. I give myself permission to go for my dreams. I give myself permission, like really do it in a way that you feel yourself, giving yourself that permission. All right, everyone. Okay, family, let's put our cameras off.
One more time and we'll see you on the other side.
Cameras in, and unmute. It's okay if the dogs do it with us. And I give myself permission to live.
Permission.
I give myself permission to take a day off. I the way I wanted to be. My emotions the best way that I can. It's exactly who I am. I need to not give myself permission to do watching one-on-one training. Give myself permission to give myself then I give myself
Give myself permission to discover, know, and know others,
enjoy the nature.
give myself good. I give myself nature, let the sun hit my burn. Give myself
Give myself permission to
be
be
insecure.
give permission to be
Give myself permission
not always get it right, not always say the right
to
thing.
win through be strong. Give myself permission to be strong. Give myself permission. Put myself first. Give myself permission to be selfish. Give
Permission to be myself first.
myself permission
To not
to
speak.
give myself permission to feel
All right, bringing your shares to a close.
Give myself permission to be vulnerable.
Bring your share to a
Bringing
close.
your shares
Give
to a
myself
close.
permission to open up and to
Come
have
back on screen and send love to people.
just heard and to be heard.
Bring your shares to a close. Hands on your own heart first. Start with your own heart. Acknowledge you for this deep, deep work, for the courage you had to speak right out loud what you're giving yourself permission to do. And as we come back on screen, let's send that I love you to everyone here, to the family of holders, of healers, of people who are blessing and helping and taking care of. Thank you for your courage. Go through these processes. Thank you. Love to take a few shares before we go into our final activity. How was that? What did you give yourself permission to do? Please raise your hand. We want to hear from you. When you speak, you're not only speaking for yourself, but you're probably speaking for other folks too. All right, I see you, Marianne. Please share with us.
Marianne, it's you.
Yeah, you're spotting. There we go. You're muted again, Marianne. Try again. Happens to me time. There you go. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, heard you now.
Okay, I give myself permission to not need to be everything, everyone. I give myself permission to rest, give myself permission to feel however I feel in any moment. Give myself permission to grieve. I give myself permission to set boundaries with people who don't necessarily need access to me.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Marianne, for setting yourself free and also inspiring us to do the same. Tracy, please share.
I give myself permission to be valuable.
Say that again, Tracy.
I give myself permission to be valuable.
Yeah. And because I believe there are no accidents, maybe everyone just say that to yourself. I give myself permission.
Permission to be valuable.
Thank you. And let's take another share. Who would be willing to share? Jessica, please.
I give myself permission to come first.
Yes.
What else, Jessica? Keep going.
I give myself permission to grieve the way I want to grieve.
Yeah.
I give myself permission to set boundaries, like mentioned before, to people that don't need to have access to me.
Powerful.
I give myself permission to love myself more.
Bravo, honey. Bravo. Thank you for sharing that. All right, let's take another nice deep breath in. All the way, filling with oxygen and slowly letting it out. And again, brush off anything that's not yours, off your heart, off your shoulders, off your back. There you go, brush it off. You can shake it off too. Yeah, move the bodies a little bit. So what we're going to do for our final activity in our time together is we're going to have you go into a group. And in this group, one of you will start. Just define who's going to go first. Just share who's going to go first. And you can do that just organically by one person sharing, completing a sentence. Something I am proud of is. And then the next person will say, something I am proud of is. And you'll keep going around and around and around and around, sharing what you're proud of. That could be over the last few years. It could be today during class.
Could have been the way you showed up, the way you show up as a partner. That could be the way you show up as a parent. It could be anything you want. This is just, I feel proud of this thing.
And Richie and I will give a little example. Right now I was feeling really proud that during the pandemic, when with all the fear and everything in the beginning, that I got my family outside and we found river rocks and I got paint. And I said, let's just start painting rocks. And so there's ladybug rocks and there's bee rocks and there's love rocks and there's rocks with tears coming out of people's eyes. And so I was proud I did that with the family.
I feel proud that I was able to support you, that going to Africa and doing the work that we so love. And even though I wanted to, because I couldn't fly because my back, and I was so grateful to get to watch through your eyes how much love you shared.
I am proud of, there was a point with all the family with us during the pandemic. I felt miles away from Rich. And we have a Hey Google machine that I don't want to say out loud because I hear they go up by but I took a song when we were young and I went in the other room and I found Rich and all the kids were watching. And I said, will you have this dance with me? And I was just crying. We just held each other in front of the kids, the grandkids. And we just sang this song when we were young and laughed and cried. And they all got up and started dancing and singing too. So you get the idea.
I feel proud. I'll do this last one. I feel proud that the vision of today seems to be unfolding in such a beautiful way, and that we got to be any part of it. So thank you for that.
Any questions? All right. And
hello, Eddie. Is that Eddie? Yeah, Eddie. He's here.
Hello.
How are you, Eddie?
Good. I didn't get into a group. This is the group.
Well, let's be our group. What are you proud of?
What are you proud of?
Just learning how to be more consistent with the small things.
Beautiful.
Danelle, what are you proud of?
Oh, letting my babies move into the next phase of their life where they are becoming just fantastic humans on this planet. And I feel so blessed that I got to be a small part of that journey with and for my kiddos.
Thank you for sharing that. Carrie, what are you proud of?
I'm proud of not being afraid to be myself and to speak my mind.
Thank you for that. Erin, what are you proud of?
I am proud of just sticking with my kids when it's really hard, just like sitting through that difficult, triggering stuff that comes up. I'm really proud of that.
For sharing. Michelle, what are you proud of, honey?
I think I'm just proud every day that I can show up and be the person, or at least try to be the person that I want to be, and not allow my mental health, depending on how it is day by day, to interfere with that, and making that choice that it's going to be really, really, really hard, some days harder than others, but that I've been able to show up anyways. And So that's probably like the biggest thing, because it's hard.
Carrie's in the house.
Carrie, what's one thing you're proud of?
We're doing what we're proud of right now. Welcome to Fantasy Island.
I'm just proud that working with the medical community right now. I have the chance to meet with a doctor right now in Oroville, and they're just excited to still be on board with us for our Physicians Committed program. Just linking young people to counseling services and giving them a step up. So
Beautiful. Good to see you. I'm proud of the fact that I just keep getting the reflection that who I'm being is what I say I want to be to people. They'll say that, you know, that they look to me as a model, and I would love that.
Eddie, what's one more thing you're proud
of? Signing my 3 kids up for baseball and softball and being able to get them there and back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's huge.
And they get to do it.
Yeah.
So many nights of baseball.
The struggle is real with youth sports.
I'm
Be
bringing
prepared.
my
You'll change in the car. You'll eat in the
5:30 to
car. You'll
7.
do everything in the car for baseball season.
I literally leave here as soon as we're done and go to baseball. I feel you, Eddie.
Yeah.
But I don't only have one, so I don't even know the half of it.
Nancy and Hannah, did you get in a group?
Yeah, they're all coming back.
Okay,
They're coming back.
Okay, great. Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody.
Ah.
Welcome, welcome.
So we only have 3 minutes of our allotted time, and they said be really on time because they are, and we're going to do that right now. So any last comment that anyone wants to make before we turn it back to the Thrive team?
Me.
See a hand there from Chris. Chris? Yeah.
Christina.
Christina.
I
Oh,
want
see
to
it.
thank you. I want to thank you so much. You have opened up my heart, and you've allowed me to see the real me and not to be afraid to say, I am Christina and I am this, and I'm very proud of who I am and where my journey is going. Thank you so
Mic
much.
drop. That was awesome. Christina, thank you. Yay. Couldn't be better.
And thank you, everybody, for this moment in time. We got to be real together and forgive ourselves and let go of, and then to be proud of also. Thank you. Thank you. It's been beautiful. Turn it over to you.
On the other hand, there wasn't allowed to be it still in the minute time.
Oh, who's that?
Jordan.
Okay, Jordan.
I just wanted to thank you. I've kind of been recently, I've kind of been like, oh, I need to forgive my younger self for doing what I thought I had to do in that time. And you brought this out today. So it's kind of like, it was just full circle, I guess. I was thinking it a couple weeks ago, and today that you brought it up, and everybody that shared, thank you so much.
Maybe there are no accidents, huh, Jordan? Let's all send love to everybody as a way of saying thank you for your courage. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for being so real. And thank you for the love you give every single day in the ways you do in your own unique ways.
When we used to kiss the kids, they rub it off or rub it in. We shake it off. I'm going to rub it in. I love all you guys. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Yvonne. And Jordan, I was going to say what Yvonne just said. There are no accidents. And I truly feel like every single one of us are exactly where we were meant to be today. And that's here together, taking time away from pouring into everyone else and prioritizing, keeping that cup full and pouring into ourselves. So thank you so much for sharing. Again, I can't tell you how much I'm loving the chat. It really does. If we were together and we were having conversations in a big room during break or during breakouts or sitting at your tables, these are the words that I think we'd all be hearing and sharing with each other. So please know we notice you. We're seeing each and every word in the chat. Keep that coming up. Show your love for Rich and Yvonne through the chat. They'll stay on and read your words of appreciation and gratitude. So thank you so much. And to Rich and Yvonne, thank you not only for the magic that you created in this virtual space with us today, but for your continued investment in our community over and over and over again. You've been here over the past 30 years, more times than I can count. I'm sure we're nearing at least 100. And we want you to know that if you are interested, you can get more of Rich and Yvonne's dose of love through an amazing series of virtual parenting sessions that Rich and Yvonne will be leading. We piloted this a couple of months ago and found the journey to be so incredibly supportive for the caregivers, the parents and caregivers in our community, that we are growing it, expanding it, and doing it again. There'll be 10 virtual sessions. The flyer's in the chat box right now if you want to click on it and download it. You can drop in at any time. You can choose one topic, 3 topics, or all 10 topics. There's no charge, and we encourage you to share this with all of the parents and caregivers that you are working with. We want this to be an amazing resource to support our community, and we know that there really isn't enough when it comes to support for parenting. I'm a parent and definitely appreciate these sessions as well. And we have another amazing opportunity with Rich and Yvonne. We will be offering a fantastic in-person couples retreat where you can bring your partner and spend 2 days with Rich and Yvonne, strengthening and deepening your relationship as a couple. More to come on that in the real near future. It will be in person. It's our hope that it will be in a local hotel, and that for some of you, you'll even be able to have a night away from your kiddos and just focus on your partnership and your relationship. So yes, Norma, I agree, right? I want to go too. Okay, so let's check in with Raven. I have been watching Raven's illustrations grow on the screen and would love to share a bit of the screen right now to see the work of Raven and how she captured. Oh my gosh, Raven, it's beautiful. So hopefully you see your words reflected there, what you're letting go of, what you forgive yourself for, what you give yourself permission to do, and what you're proud of. Raven, I want you to know this becomes our kind of like our visual diary of our experience together, and we're so grateful.